Let's take a Winston break.
That's it! Winston is the one filter cigarette that delivers flavor 20 times a pack. Winston's got that filter blend.
Yeah, Fred. Filter blend makes the big taste difference, and only Winston has it. Up front where it counts.
Back in the day, for a brief shining moment, cavemen and dinosaurs were the 16-bit flavour of the month. We had Joe and Mac, Big Nose the Caveman, Congo's Caper, Dino City, Chuck Rock. What the fuck? Anyway, the point is, the world was crying out for a Flintstones game. The series debuted in 1960 to huge popularity. It was the first primetime animated cartoon, and is still enjoyed by millions today, probably for some reason. Plenty of video games were produced to cash in, and I'm going to look at some of them today. The Flintstones, the rescue of Dino and Hoppy for the Nintendo Entertainment System, released in 1991. This seems to take place in the era when the show had gone down the shitter, so they brought in an alien called the Great Gazoo, who only Fred, Barney, and the kids, and pretty much most of the cast could see. Dino and Baba Louie from the Quick Draw McGraw show have been kidnapped by a fucking psychotic-looking murderer. Well, it won't surprise you to learn that it's a side-scroller because, I mean, it's a licensed NES game, or a licensed 8-bit/16-bit game at all. But it's not too bad. I mean, as you can see, it's quite good-looking for an NES game. It's colourful and it uses pretty broad, decent palette, or at least it manages to mix up the colours in such a way that it doesn't look as limited as quite a few NES games do. Kind of weird that Fred goes around bashing everything in the head with a club, though get used to that because that seems to be his primary method of defence in the games I'm going to cover today. No sign of Barney, but to be honest I didn't get very far because it's quite surprisingly difficult. I died a few times recording this footage, especially against the boss who was a gigantic anus. I don't understand how you're supposed to, how a child would have the patience for it, but I guess, like, back in the day I did beat some outrageously difficult games. I mean, I think we all did. We got through the Mega Man games, didn't we? And they're pretty tough. Anyway, it's not bad. It's a pretty good first effort. The surprise at Dinosaur Peak is its sequel, released in 1993, but only released for rental to Blockbuster Video, so it's actually one of the rarest NES games to get a hold of. Luckily I was able to locate a copy on some ROM site ages ago because, come on, I mean, for Christ's sake, you know, I don't have that kind of money. Anyway, the main difference in this game is that A, the background is as garish as absolute fuck, and you can play as Barney, which is all anyone's ever wanted to do since the advent of video games, when they produced, for example, Space War. Professor whatever his name is came over and just said, look, I like what we've got here, I think it's going to revolutionise entertainment, but where's my Barney Rubble at? The plot of this one is that Fred is a grotesquely negligent father and allows Pebbles to escape to go who knows where, might have been abducted by, I don't know, some kind of stone version of, like, Fred West, I don't know. Anyway, it's another standard platform fare. It's not that different from the previous game, although Barney has some really awkward controls for clinging on and climbing up things that don't really work as well as they ought to. It's quite frustrating. But at least it adds a little bit of gameplay variation when you're switching characters. And this bit's a bit like Donkey Kong. That's about all I've got to say about this one. Now let's look at something shit. Just listen to this sampled speech. It sets the tone for the entire experience. This is the Flintstones for the Sega Master System. It's a conversion of an earlier Flintstones game, I believe from 1989, which was released on the Spectrum, Commodore 64, that sort of thing. Home computers, basically. It is a piece of shit. I can't even begin to tell you how bad it is, but I'll try. Level 1, you have to paint a cave wall. Who would get hold of a license, or even the notion to make a video game and think, you know what would be fun for, like, the players is if they have to paint a wall, and while they're painting the wall, their stupid kid keeps getting up and ruining what they've already done. They have to keep applying paint to the paintbrush while juggling this kid and moving this ladder around and, oh, who knows what else. This is level 1. This is, like, how they introduced the game to you. Even Fred looks like he's going to kill himself. Look at him. Look, Jesus Christ. It's obnoxious beyond reason. I hate it, and I did not progress beyond this point because why would I when they... I mean, maybe the rest of the game is like Bangai Spirits or something, I mean, but I'll never know because they front-loaded it with some DIY. Fuck off. This is the Flintstones King Rock Treasure Island 1992 release for the original brick Game Boy, and it's a pleasant surprise actually. You've got an attack where you throw little stone hammers, or tomahawks if you want, a little bit like in Adventure Island actually, but this game's not bad. It's got a pretty interesting mechanic, which is that if you hit an enemy once it freezes them and you can use them as a platform. Hit them twice it will take them out of the game. It's a really enjoyable little handheld game. The graphics don't blur too much. It's it's clear, it's well presented, and there's some interesting little puzzles and ideas, hidden secrets based around this mechanic of knocking out the enemies and using them as platforms. I rather like it. It's one of those things where if I received it as a kid, I would not be disappointed with it. It's not Super Mario Land, but very few handheld games are. So yeah, I give this one a thumbs up. Treasure of the Sierra Madre. This is a very bizarre little game. This is for the Super Nintendo, of course. It's built around an out-of-place, annoying board game framing that it has, which is just, I don't understand why it's in there. Basically, you alternate between Fred and Barney, you roll a dice which you only seem to get 1 or 2 in the time that I spent playing it, and every space is like either a short little level or some kind of mini-game or bonus room. It's got really rigid controls, which means it feels weird to play. It's bizarre. The levels are sort of based more around gimmickry, which isn't so bad, but it's really difficult, and it's hard to get your head around it at all. It's just full of bizarre decisions. There's more moves, like you can flap your arms in mid-air to stay, sort of give yourself some hang time, or you can climb up trees and stuff. It's not necessarily bad, it's just really bizarre. I don't understand why they chose the framework that they did. I don't know why they wouldn't just make a traditional platform. I mean, I suppose they could be applauded for doing something different, but it's in Moon language. Okay, fair enough. Now we get into licenses within licenses. Licenseception. You remember this god-awful shit? Yeah, they made a live-action Flintstones movie with John Goodman playing Fred Flintstone, Rick Moranis playing Barney Rubble. Now, nobody wanted it, but it's happened. Of course, they've made tie-in video games to go with it, one for Super Nintendo, one for Game Boy. I'm going to take a fleeting look at them because they are quite upsetting. Oh god. The Flintstones, based on the movie for Super Nintendo, in which you play as terrifying digitized face Fred Flintstone John Goodman. It is not a very good game, although it's got some really great use of parallax scrolling in the background there. And surprisingly, the music is superb. I can't really give a great demonstration of it here, but if you YouTube Flintstones Super Nintendo Ocean music, you will find some pretty good atmospheric stuff for the SNES. Anyway, it's a bog standard platform game which I could not be asked to get anywhere in, not even in the interest of producing an excellent journalistic video. I just don't give a shit, I'm sorry. Oh, this is the version for the Game Boy, and the nicest thing I can say about this is I've played worse 2D movie-based platformers. There's nothing about it that stands out apart from that horrible looking sprite that you play as. There's a level later in the game where you actually can jump on babies just forever as Barney Rubble, and that's hilarious, but unfortunately I didn't get any footage of it because that would require me to play the game for around 10 minutes, and I wasn't prepared to do that. I'm very sorry. Anyway, the game sucks. Now, I've saved this one for last because I think it's actually the best of the bunch. It's the Flintstones for the Mega Drive or Genesis, depending on where you live. Mega Drive is correct, though. Anyway, it's of course a side-scrolling platformer, as have all of these games been, apart from that fucking board game shit. I don't know what that was all about. You control Fred, and you have to do completely arbitrary tasks for your wife and friends, like Barney's all, "Hey Fred, I lost my lucky fishing hook," and Fred's like, "Okay, I'll go and endanger my life trying to get that crap back for you." Or Wilma's like, "Hey, I lost my necklace and my salt shaker." I'm not even joking about the salt shaker thing. And Fred's like, "Yeah, okay, I'll just go trek off through dangerous dinosaur-infested wilderness to try and freaking get your salt shaker back." You know what? He's a loyal husband, and sorry, I got wistful for a second there. This is a pretty great game. It has a weird arcade style to it. Each level is divided up into smaller sub-levels, each of one of which tends to focus on a particular gimmick. And some of them are pretty freaking cool. Like there's this one with this shark destroying the platform above you as you sort of traverse it, and I think it's a really interesting little mechanic. I like it a lot. Boss of the first level seems to be a dinosaur riding on a giant whisk, and I don't think you can really fault that, can you? It shits the bed a bit because the second level is a water level, and they are, without exception, boring, slow, treacly rubbish. So that it's not the worst water level I've played, but that isn't saying much. I recommend you check this one out. It's a rather solid game with lots of enjoyable little things to discover, nice set of secret areas and set pieces, and it's good. Play it. And that concludes my look at the Flintstones games. I like the show. They're a mixed bag. They've got some quaint looks to them. They're not really all that funny, but you look back on them kind of fondly. They're generally kind of a solid lot, apart from that Master System game, which was terrible. I mean, none of them really infuriated me other than that one. So yeah, it's worth checking out some of the ones that you may have seen here that you've liked the look of. I'd start with the Mega Drive one. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon with either Donald Duck or Arnold Schwarzenegger. I haven't decided.
We'll have a gay old time.